Jacob Carr from Global Sports Regina. It's been a busy few days since the Ed Hervey tampering window has kicked in the CFL, and there's been some signings. Jacob, first of all, thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And it probably just came across your email minutes ago, along with ours. Mario Alford has re-signed with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Are you happy to see him back in green and white for another year?
Yeah, absolutely. I just kind of tweet my little ex it out when he got re-signed, like you said, just maybe 10 minutes ago. I said it would be interesting if he can recapture that 2022-23 form. I think he had a relatively quiet year by his standards last year, so it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of recapture that magic for the Riders this season.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think a lot of us, because what we saw in 2022, like that all-star form, the threat was always there, but at times it seemed like the sideline was sometimes the best out or the best option. And it's not that he didn't have some great returns. He's shown us so much potential and what he can do to be here. I think the bar is high for a lot of us Rider fans now, and we want to see that. It's funny. Here we go. Like, we want to see that explosiveness on all plays. Probably the big signing from earlier today, Marcus Sayles. He had an outstanding year. He was a CFL All-Star, and he signs for 2 years. With what we kind of saw with the Riders secondary last year, Jacob, when they did have injuries, how important was it that Sayles was able to play 17 games and kind of be sort of the rock back there, that he was healthy and he was consistent?
Oh, huge. I would say huge. Like you said, injury bug really crept up on that team. I'd say more so maybe O-line, receiver, stuff like that. But he was a consistent, and a lot of people maybe forget because he had such a good overall season that I feel like those first maybe 2-3 games he did struggle. But I think that was just a product of him learning Mace's system. And once he got comfortable with it, it was gangbusters. Like he was doing his job. 4 interceptions, I believe it was, last year, tied his career high. But yeah, he was holding it down wherever they needed him, wide side corner, half if he needed to play there. But yeah, solid season. So definitely earned that 2-year extension, I would say.
You know, and for Sayles, getting the 2-year, because it's funny, in this league, like last year, he played well with BC the year before, but then all of a sudden training camp comes around, a little salary. Next thing you know, he's out on the street and the Riders pick him up. So you've got to take what you can when you can get it. What do you make so far of what the Riders have been able to do since Sunday, and with the free agents they've been able to sign and some of the guys they've re-signed?
Yeah, absolutely. Even just talking to Jeremy O'Day at the winter meetings, what they've kind of done hasn't really surprised me. No real big splash signings, I would say, other than probably Mike Rose. I think that's a huge one. And I think maybe the writing's on the wall for Micah with that signing. But if they can get him to come back and pair them together, I think that'll be massive. The Tavon Campbell signing is a big one, obviously, former Ram, kind of a journeyman NFL guy, only 30 years old. Can definitely lock down that corner spot if he wins it in camp that is being vacated by Deontay Williams and Amari Henderson leaving. So I think those are two big ones, and they've just kind of re-signed that core, which J.O. said they would do because he kind of said they wouldn't be as active in free agency, which is not a, it's a nice problem to have.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, Ed Hervey is making all the headlines. He's got the checkbook open, and it's very splashy, but that sometimes doesn't always pay off. Now, he's signed some really good individual players, whether that gels. Do you feel like Toronto and Winnipeg have been kind of picked over and have lost the most amount of talent out of all of the teams in the CFL so far, and we're only like 5 days in?
No, 100%. I would agree with that. But on the flip side of the coin, I even think last year Toronto was pretty picked over. Maybe not to this extent. Like, obviously, I think they lost their whole D line that started and won the Grey Cup this year, with Serezna probably being the biggest name. But yeah, a lot of people doubted them last year, honestly, including me, and they ended up winning the Grey Cup the second time in 3 years,
Yeah.
right? So, but like you mentioned, Winnipeg, obviously Lawler's a big loss. Getting Schoen back is huge, though. A couple, forgetting the name of the old lineman they lost, but yeah, definitely a few huge pieces. But those franchises seem to just be able to rebuild and re-sign most of their core guys, and they seem to be in the big game pretty much every other year.
What do you make of Tyrell Ford? And I'm all for this because you played Canadian college football. You played with the Rams, so hey, you know what? Power to anybody who can do it. If Tyrell Ford is getting the $230,000 a season for playing defensive back for the Edmonton Elks, what does that say for Canadian players and the potential, limitless potential that I think is out there now if he resets the bar?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, all the power to him. Obviously, was a staple in that Winnipeg defensive backfield, as we're seeing on the screen right now, last year. So, everyone talks about the loyalty to the franchises and stuff like that, but when you can get your bag, like, go and get it. And especially to be a DB, getting paid that premium amount, when that money's usually going to quarterback, wide receiver. I mean, you can't blame him for it. So I think it's gonna kind of set the bar moving forward for sure.
We're chatting with Jacob Carr from Global Regina. I'd said this a couple of weeks ago. I thought everybody, maybe with the exception of Calgary, although they, the big play VA, and they're going to try and get as much mileage out of that as they can. Everybody has kind of pushed their chips in the West Division. Not that they haven't in the East, but it's a dogfight. How important is that home field advantage going to be in the playoffs, let alone for the Western final? Because we saw this year, like, it's going to be a dogfight from week one, and you're not going to be able to lose a game, let alone two in a row, because you may put yourself out of any sort of position for playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, riders historically, I'd say over the last maybe 5 years have struggled winning in Winnipeg, and that's because it's a really hard place to win. They're not the only team, right? So to get that home playoff game, West final playoff game, and the bye, I know a lot of people speculate, is the bye beneficial or not? I think it absolutely is, personally. And to have it in front of your home fans, it's just a massive advantage in this league.
I'm trying to be the glass is half full. Kenny Lawler, who was one of the most sought after free agents and just a great receiver. He's a game changer. He's not part of Rider Nation, but at least he's out of the West Division. He signs with the Hamilton Ticats. If you're Bo Levi Mitchell, how excited are you to have a weapon like that? Because Bo's not shy to throw the football. We all know that. But you have a legit top 3 guy in the league that you now have the ability to go to all the time. Do you think that Bo Levi can top the numbers that he put up last year? And he didn't necessarily have a great team last year. Like, he could set records this year.
No, for sure. He's got to be grinning from ear to ear, right? Kind of the two biggest free agent receivers, I would say, or biggest names going out east, right? Lawler to Hamilton, and then Gino going to the Red Blacks. So, but yeah, Bo, I would say maybe Hamilton has made a lot of good moves, I would say, in free agency, and I think they're going to be better. So the only thing with him maybe breaking, he went over 5,000 last year because they kind of had to. He had to throw all the time. I think they would probably like to be more balanced, so maybe they win some more games and he doesn't have to throw as much. That's the only thing I would say.
Probably the only thing now is it's still early February and training camp doesn't open for another solid about 3 months or so. So we got a long time to wait. Is there something that you are looking for that the Riders, in your mind, need to do to add to this roster for the upcoming season? If it's you being J.O. for a second, what do you need to add to this team to put us over the top?
It's a tough question. I mean, I think they re-signed most of the people they wanted to. I think, like I said, Tavon Campbell coming in is really going to shore up one of those corner spots. Obviously they got Milligan back there, Sales, Macombo probably going to be the safety and stuff like that. So I think that position's pretty shored up. I would just say some more O-line depth. Obviously got a lot of great Canadians, Logan Ferland being the biggest name I can think of on that unit. But it seems like quarterbacks sewed up. Obviously Trevor and the two former Calgary guys, Mayer and Tommy Stevens just recently. So, I mean, I think it's just depth at this point. I didn't expect them to make any splashy moves, like I said, Mike Rose aside. If they can get Micah back, like I said, I think that will be huge. But this roster is pretty solid top to bottom. I think it's just depth at this point.
All right. We'll end on this. Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Jacob Carr, who do you got, and by how much?
I was wondering if you'd ask me about this because I'm an Eagles guy. So
I saw it in your Twitter profile. You got a picture of the Philadelphia
exactly
Eagles,
right.
Yeah, exactly. This is a bit of a loaded question. I kind of knew which way you were going to go. Okay, well now you got to tell us how this is going to unfold.
Oh, okay. So I have two picks really. Like my heart says Eagles 27-24, but my analytical brain, having seen them lose to the Chiefs in heartbreaking fashion, obviously 2 Super Bowls ago, says it's probably going to be 30-23 Chiefs. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. My brain is wrong.
Well, the over-under is 49. And if you're betting the over-under, you don't care how those points get there. My whole thing is Philadelphia, that roster stacked on paper looks great. But in real life, when it all matters, the Chiefs they're not flashy anymore, but they're like the Patriots now. They know just how to do enough to win, and they can game plan against you. And that guy named Chris Jones seems to wreck a lot of offensive coordinators' plans, and he kind of is okay with that. It'll be close. If it stays a 1-score game, I think you have to go with Kansas City just with how it goes. If Philly can get up and get a lead, if they could get 3 scores, I don't know that they come back, but so we'll see how it all plays out. Hey, Jacob, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it. Let's do this again. You're off to the U of R to get a little stuff, working on some stuff for tomorrow. Have a great night. Drive safe. And if we've been talking about this on the show, if you're the head snow shoveler at home, have a safe night.
Yeah,
when you got to go dig out the driveway
this morning, but I'm sure it'll be a couple more inches for me to do tonight. Thanks for having me, though. Appreciate it.